You're having a conversation and you want to hear what they have to say. You want to gain an understanding of what they have going on. That's called active listening. And active listening is probably one of the greatest tools that you can have in your dad tool belt to build rapport with your children. Welcome to the Dad of All Things podcast. I'm your host, Gerald, Mr. BPoz Mays, where we are fatherly motivated to be better in all things that make us better dads, husbands, and men. And today we are talking about active listening. Today, we are talking about the superpower active listening, not to be confused with arguing, which, despite popular belief, is extremely important to have. Uh, all things aren't fun and games or roses and burritos or whatever you want to call it. Some things you need to argue for, you need to fight for. This is not necessarily what we're talking about. We are going to be talking all about active listening. So, first, let's discuss what active listening is. And I have a definition that I wrote down that I want you to know what active listening is. It is the art of listening to the speaker to gain a full understanding of what they are trying to convey, as well as the motivation behind it. I have a great example of this that I found on YouTube. It is to set it up, it is a scene from Everyone Loves Raymond, an old TV show from back in the day that I used to watch. And in this scene, Ray had been forced to take this class by his wife. And in that class, he learned active listening skills. And he's used this tool in the neighborhood a few times, and it has worked with very high success. And now he has just come through the door and is ready to lay on his active listening skills to his daughter in front of his wife. Let's take a listen.
This is Michael's giraffe. He's crying now. Why did you do this?
Cause.
Cause is not an answer.
Active listening.
Ray, that doesn't work.
It works. I just use it on the worst kids in the neighborhood.
Would you look at this? Look what she
Just
did.
try it. Try it.
No, Ray.
I'll
it's
do it. You want me to do it? I'll
No,
do
no,
it.
no, no. Do this. Okay. Allie, let's talk about what you did.
I don't want to talk.
Are you feeling angry?
Reflect back.
You're angry.
Yes.
Okay. But it's not okay to rip up toys when we're angry.
Judgmental.
You are angry because
Because it used to be your toy.
oh,
Yes. I don't like Michael and Jeffrey.
I see. You think that Mommy and Daddy pay too much attention to Michael and Jeffrey.
Ray, okay, I was handling this.
They get everything.
Right, and you're upset because we gave them your old giraffe.
I still liked it.
But you weren't playing with it.
But that doesn't matter, though, because it was still yours. And you're mad because we gave it to Michael without asking you, right?
Right.
Well, Mommy and Daddy made a mistake. And everybody makes mistakes, right, Mommy?
Yes.
Do you feel better now, Allie?
Yes, can I have the giraffe?
Well, it's broken, honey.
I know, I want to try to fix it for Michael.
Uh-huh. You're sweet.
Thank you, Daddy.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Can't believe it. It's pretty amazing. You did it.
Anything else need taken care of while I'm around here?
Let's give Ray his props. He did a damn good job in communicating. And I think what I want you to understand is the key to having this type of communication is validating the other person's feelings and diving into what they feel and what what they're trying to say versus trying to correct. I don't know about you, but I'm married. I've been married for 17 years. raised 4 children with my wife. So we understand kind of the variables that happen in regards to this types of communication. And to set this up, the daughter has ripped off the head of the giraffe and is extremely upset. And it is very, very easy to just kind of jump in and correct the daughter for doing something that she had no business doing, i.e., ripping the head off of the fucking giraffe, right? And it's so easy to just jump in and say, "Hey, you shouldn't do that. We need to whatever the parenting jargon that we use in our own households." But she should not have ripped open that giraffe, and she should either be reprimanded, punished, or disciplined for that action. What Ray did instead was he came in and he asked more developing questions and made statements for her to then expound on, uncovering the fact that she's actually a little bit jealous and is dealing with those emotions of being jealous about having other children in the household. So she ripped up that toy because she was jealous that the other kids got the toy, despite the fact that, you know how kids are, despite the fact that they didn't give two flying fucks about this toy, and that they probably would have never ever took a look at it had that toy not been given to another child. You know how kids are. This is how it's going to happen regardless. He still took the time to ask those developing questions without jumping right to the conclusion that what she did, the action was wrong. And that for me is a huge deal. For me, it's the one of the biggest components of parenting is that as parents, our jobs aren't always to reprimand, discipline, redirect, whatever those disciplinary words are. Our jobs are to validate our children's feelings, not in an unreasonable way, but validate them, meaning give them legs so that that child can be an active participant in working through the importance of said thing. Yes, you lost a giraffe. No, that giraffe shouldn't be so detrimental that she gets an ass whooping for it, because the ass whooping will linger on a whole lot longer than filling the gap of what she's actually trying to express to her parents. So I do want to, go off and give you my own experience. Like I've had this happen in my own life as well. Like I'll give you an example real quick. I have 4 children, ages 22, 19, 18, and 14. So trust me, the conversation, the communication has been hit or miss sometimes, as you have 6 different people, my 4 children and myself and my wife included, all having a different way of communicating, different styles, different needs, and different everything else. But this particular thing, my middle child had a best friend, and that best friend moved away when she was in the 3rd grade. And in that conversation of her expressing how upset she was that her friend was moving, I said, it ain't that big a deal. You'll get new friends. You're only in the 3rd grade. You're going to meet a ton of people. And I'm really giving her this heartfelt, loving dad information that I thought was going to like clear up these feelings of a lost friend that she was harboring. And it didn't. And I didn't learn that how big of an impact it was for her until she was in the 11th grade. And in the 11th grade, she had already built up this mountain of evidence that I didn't listen to her, that I just said whatever I wanted to say, but I didn't take her and how she felt and what she thought into consideration. So one night in her 11th grade year, it all kind of just came to a head. And we had to deal with the fact that as a 15, 16-year-old young lady, she was still feeling that dad didn't listen to her from what he had said to her when she was 8 and 9 years old. So it's important that you are actively listening to your child as often as possible. And I have a handful of things that I want to share with you in order for you to become better at active listening, to exercise that skill of active listening. Number one, you have to commit to making listening a priority. The reason why I put that down there is because it doesn't come naturally. Our egos and how we are as people, it shows up. And a lot of times listening means to not express how we feel in those situations. That as we hear information from our children, from our spouses, from our friends and family, our coworkers, and all of these people that we have to listen to on a day-to-day basis, it's hard for us to check how we feel about the words coming from them and just allow them to get it off their chest. That takes a lot of practice and a lot of fucking conversations to have. So you have to commit to at least being the priority, which also means being okay with hearing the feedback if you didn't do it. Number two is practice. That goes hand in hand with committing. Is that, like I said before, it's very difficult to do. It's hard to check ourselves. It's hard to get out of our old patterns. So you're going to have to practice. And here are some things that you want to take into consideration in your practice so that in the conversations that you're actually having, you want to take a look at nonverbal communication. So that's your nonverbal communication. That's you to them and them back to you. So if you are sitting there and you're rolling your eyes every time they say something, or you're taking deep breaths, or you're staring off into space, or you're looking down or fidgeting, playing around with your phone, arms crossed, all of those things give off a sense of something to the person speaking to you. And a good way for you to gauge some of your nonverbal communication is to be mindful of their nonverbal communication. That means if they are taking deeper breaths, maybe they're showing a sense of anxiety because the topic that they're trying to get across to you is extremely important. It would behoove you to recognize that and be able to interject a little something. A lot of times when we're talking to our children, the biggest thing is that they don't want whatever it is that they're about to say to let you down. So provide some of that feedback in the conversation. It's okay. Go ahead, say what you have to say. I'm just listening. Whatever it takes to settle down the other person so you can be active in what they have going on. Number two in our practice model is listen with your eyes. Make eye contact with them. Nod. Where their eyes go, your eyes should go. Follow them because that shows that you're engaged in what they have to say, that you want to hear what they have to say. That trick works with the significant other for damn sure. So the next time your wife is blabbing off at the mouth and telling you what you don't do, look at her straight in the eyes, put your phone down, nod, do all. I'm getting to those things, but look at her and say, uh-huh, okay, yep. And that, I promise you, it will change the tone. The third thing is ask questions, then allow them to answer it fully. So if they say, for example, Dad, my best friend is moving to Texas. And I'm like, and I say, oh, are they moving to Texas? Yes. And I'm going to miss them a whole lot. Well, that I understand that you're going to miss them a whole lot. Is she important to you? Yes, she's very, very important to me. She's one of my only friends. Oh, I didn't know that was your only friend. I thought you had many, many more. So this is going to be a huge loss to you, huh? Yes, it's going to be. You see how I'm kind of developing in while also validating what she's saying? She's 8 or 9 years old. So this stuff is like it's like World War II in her life, right? Like it's one of the most impactful experiences to date for this 8 or 9 year old young lady. So ask those questions. Start to give her the space to open up the communication in that regard. And then also the last thing in our practice parts while you're having these discussions is to be mindful of the small utterance. It could be, I understand where you're coming from, or oh, I completely understand that. It don't even have to be full-fledged like statements. It can literally just be things like, mm-hmm, uh-huh, no, I get that. Yeah. Oh, okay, for sure. Whatever it is, the goal in that is to show that you are engaged in what they're saying. You're giving them permission to continue saying what they're saying. And also, you want to hear it because no one wants to say something that is important to them, impactful to them, that the other person that they're saying it to could give two fucks about. So please do not show up in these conversations as if you don't give two fucks. You do. You do give two fucks. All right. So the third thing, so we had commit to making listening a priority, practice with our four things that you should be focused on in the practice. Three is to give informed responses, respond to what they said. Oftentimes, and this is my problem, like my wife will be the first person to tell you straight up, my problem is I just pick up wherever she left off of and I keep going. My wife does not respond well to that. She needs a lot of reassurance that I heard what she said, I understand what she said. And to be honest, I need the same thing in conversation. I need the exact same thing that she wants in conversation. I bypass that when I'm doing the talking. But give informed responses. Those informed responses kind of go along with what Ray said and the example that I used before. Oh, is that how you feel? I didn't know that's how you felt. Well, how does that impact you? Knowing that you feel this way, does does this bring up anything that I should be mindful of? Does this create another layer of stuff that you have to deal with? How does this being the truth actually impact you on a day-to-day basis? What is it that you will like? And then the last thing is keep the focus on them and let them talk. Now, here's the distinguishing factor between active listening and arguing, because often in active listening, you have to let them get it all out. You're the one listening to them. They're the one speaking. This is not the place for an argument, because in an argument, both people want to be heard. Both people have conflicting views of whatever the other person is saying. So active listening, although important in those scenarios, they don't necessarily show up as easily as a conversation like a father speaking to his child, where you're just trying to get information. You're just trying to connect more with your kid. You're just trying to give them the space and show them the safety that is required to express yourself freely amongst older people that you trust, care for, and believe that they trust and care for you back. That is the huge difference between active listening and something that happens in an argument. In active listening, you gotta listen, and the other person is the most important aspect of it. So you make sure that you keep the focus on them. You stay away from some of the questions about you and what you need out of the conversation, and you ask more and more developing questions until they feel that they have expressed everything that was on their little hearts. Because our children are going to have to get this stuff off of their chest. If you look out into the world right now, and what you see is a bunch of people struggling because they never found a safe place to say some of the stuff that was on their hearts. And I believe that as dads, it is our job and our duty to make sure that they're safe with us. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Dad of All Things podcast where we are fatherly motivated to be better husbands, fathers, dads, and men. If you like this, like and share, subscribe, and share with your friends. You guys take care, and we appreciate it.